People that were bullied in high school, where are your bullies at now? Don't know. Don't care. FCK those guys. Seriously. I moved out of that town and don't talk to anyone from high school. I didn't go to my 10-year reunion a few years back. One of my main bullies had the nerve to send me a Facebook invitation to the after party at his house. No thanks. He lost his arm. F-king idiot. There is a picture of him in the yearbook flexing his bicep that no longer exists. He punched so many of my friends with that arm. I didn't believe it when I heard he lost it because the story goes he picked a fight with the wrong dudes at a bar and they stomped him out and dragged him to the railroad tracks behind the bar. It seems unbelievable. But I looked him up on Facebook and there he is. Unable to clap. Side note. It was a pretty common thing in my town in Oklahoma to beat someone down and break their arm on the curb. I ran into him a few years ago. He didn't come from a very good family and would get angry and violent at school. He'd always take it out on the quiet kids like me and just inflict all sorts of emotional abuse. It really f***ed me up. To be honest. He cleaned up his acts in high school, college. Found the family he never had in his college mates. He was a lot friendlier when I met him and was clearly trying to make an effort. In truth, I'm just glad that he's happy. It was evident that he was messed up as a kid, so it's nice to see him find his way. My childhood best friend, on the other hand, went the polar opposite. Perfectly good kid who just went off the deep end and became crazy as an adult, lol. One girl that bullied me in middle school and high school ended up getting knocked up in at 19. One time I creeped on her Facebook and found her having an argument with the baby daddy's mom on her page. I read all 200 posts of the drama of them going back and forth. That was how I got over it. I wasn't bullied. But my brother had to deal with a particularly bad one in high school. It ended after summer. Grade 10. When the guy was drunk and walking next to the highway. Was struck and killed by a transport truck. He still takes my lunch money. Anyway. Tim, you're the best employee Subway has. Wasn't bullied in high school. But my bullies from elementary school and middle school almost all turned out to be drug addicts before even graduating high school. So. Mine too. At grad he actually had the guts to come up to me and explain that. Apologize. And tell me he was trying to do better. It didn't make everything better, but it did help me understand him a bit more and lose any grudges I might have otherwise held. Hopefully he got some help and is doing better. It's a big step to recognize one's faults like that. Recently got out of prison. He was driving drunk and killed my cousin. She didn't even live nearby. Her mom and her were on a road trip to some family land 3+ hours from where they lived and he happened to be on the way. I wish I could say I was angry at him. But mostly it just makes me sad. My family mostly hates the guy. Partially on my behalf. One of my formative memories is my dad saying hi to the kid while we were on a walk, and when I asked why when the kid was mean to me he said that most mean kids are hurting. I wish I'd taken that chance to be nicer to the kid in return. As he'd largely stopped bullying me by high school. Not that I was mean. But I could have been something. I took that advice, and a lot of other things, and turned it into a career working with at-risk teens. Trying to help them break the various familial cycles that cause them problems. My elementary high school bully committed suicide April our senior year. Before and after class in elementary school he would punch me and actually beat me up. Once the school caught wind of this, the principal decided to put us in the same class to force us to become friends. He just started punching and making fun of me in class. Then in middle school he would throw rocks at me. The police officer at our middle school talked to him and told him to stay away from me. It didn't change anything. Finally in high school he drifted away from me and finally stopped bullying me. My best friend's mom asked how I felt about his passing. I said I felt very conflicted. On one hand I was incredibly relieved I would never see him again. But on the other I didn't feel comfortable celebrating someone's death. One of my bullies is currently addicted to multiple different kinds of drugs, and the last time I saw her she was being walked out of a KFC by the police. half naked and with only one flip-flop. Still looking back at me in the mirror. Deep. He is 43. Never been married or had kids. Works at Walmart stocking shelves overnights. It sucks when you hear they're doing well. Open bracket. I saw my high school bully about 10 years later at a bar. Strangely enough, he came and apologized to me for his wrongdoings. I forgave him instantly. So hey. Yeah, you. If you see someone you've tormented, maybe apologize. Certainly helped me, and I'm guessing him also. I was an ass in school. It was all having a laugh at the time. But a few years later, realized I was just a bully. I have apologized to a few people when I have happened to see them. It's always been well received. Or for me to be told I didn't bully them. There was this kid in my grade school named Miguel, who would bully me all the time about being poor, a nerd, and because I was a bit overweight. This kid was really cruel and could make me feel down even when I felt great. Like when I got my first pair of brand new sneakers that were mine. All of them before were either from the thrift store or hand-me-downs from my cousins. I was so excited to wear them to the school, and when I did, he comes up to me and says, "Nice new old shoes. I had a pair of those last year." And then he laughs. Made me feel like shitty the rest of the day. Fast forward to over 15 years later. I'm working a pretty great office job in downtown Chicago. I stop by a McDonald's and I see him behind the counter. He doesn't recognize me because I lost weight and had a beard now. But I definitely recognized him. I felt a bit bad because he was working this shitty job. But at the same time, it felt kinda good to see that I was doing better than he was at the time. Because of how mean he was to me back when we were kids. She was stabbed and strangled to death by her live-in boyfriend, who then left her rotting corpse on the couch of their apartment and continued to live there until the neighbors complained of the smell and called the police. No idea. None of them really have any online presence anymore, but just living life, I think. No better or worse than I. It seems pointless to hold malice since their shitty behavior was created by their shitty parents and so on and so forth. I try to forgive. All my bullies had really terrible home lives. Became friends with him. I mostly helped him with his anger issues and we play Fortnite together now. He's a great guy and I'm teaching him how to get better. My bully was quite insistent on throwing gay slurs around. Especially at me. I'm straight. But masculine has never been a word anybody has used to describe me. When I looked him up online a few years back, I found that he had married another guy and was currently working in a graphic design studio that was currently doing work for the local Pride parade. I'm guessing all that hatred he threw my way was actually just an internal struggle on his part. If that's the case, I'm glad he sorted all that out. And I hope he's happy now. Close bracket. Recently died of a drug overdose, and as everyone was writing things on Facebook like you were an amazing person, all I could think was fuck this guy, I know that's f-ked up to say but damn. I attempted suicide, and when I got back to school him and his friends held my arm down so they could see my healing scar on my wrists and laugh at me. Peace out. Dude. My brother bullied me pretty bad when we were in our teens, in school and at home, and now he's my biggest supporter. Helped me pay student loans. And calls regularly just to see if I'm doing good, need anything. I didn't get bullied by others in high school because I was somewhat popular and the older kids were mostly friends with my brother or with me. So yes, popular kids can get bullied too. 1-0. Dead. 2 are in prison and 1. Well, that one is a funny story. My neighbors clogged their pipes and flooded their bathroom with human waste and water. Guys showed up to unblock the pipes that run through a sewer connection in my front yard. Neighbors are slightly downhill, so they built the sewer drainage on a step. It clogs often. Guess who had to wade through human shit and sewer water? When he knocked on my door to ask for access to the shite tunnel, I had the biggest grin on my face. Probably sucking DCK and doing butt stuff. He really turned his life around when he figured out he was gay and got a boyfriend to DCK the stick out of him. Good for him. Probably better than where I ended up at. Life's not always fair and karma sometimes isn't real. I know this one because I am the contact coordinator for our class reunions. The one who bullied me and several other girls was a wiry, dark-haired, sarcastic kid with a perpetual scowl. In 7th grade, she poured ink on my chair, hoping I would sit in it. When I didn't, she took a compass and jabbed the point into my shoulder, causing me to run home in fear and terror, bleeding all the way. Later on, I went to the school when nobody was around and shoved a sack of wet dog poop into her locker through the vent holes in retaliation. She bullied so many people she never did guess who did it. She didn't graduate but went to a continuation school and ended up an administrative assistant for a small office. She finally married an underemployed guy, had 2 daughters, and remained fairly poor from what I can tell. I called her personally to invite her to one of our reunions, because I wanted to be a better person than my revengeful childish self had been. But I have to say I took perverse pleasure in knowing the $75 ticket price for the evening was too steep for her and she couldn't attend. She used to make fun of me for my weight. She is now a Dollar General budget Instagram model promoting body positivity because she's the weight that she used to make fun of me for. The guy who used to bully me for my weight and my friend for being gay is now overweight, balding, and looks like a lawn gnome. I was bullied relentlessly for my squint, strabismus. It drove me to some pretty dark places when I was just in the 6th grade. I blocked out so many parts of school. I don't remember whole years. They, however, are all still in the same friend group. They all hang out, party and still manage to have some pretty successful careers. They are in healthy relationships and always talk about how fun school was for them. It's nice to see other people in this comment section get sweet revenge. But for me, I never got that. I was the loser they bullied and somehow I'm still the loser in their lives. Dunno. Only heard from one since those days. I received an apology out of nowhere from someone I never considered a bully but still had problems with. It showed me that he had grown more than I had. Decided to let go of my hate. I haven't looked back since. The middle school bully and his mate ended up in legal trouble. Misdemeanors to almost a felony at one point. He got addicted to drugs and almost had his life forfeit. Fast forward another 2 years. He got his act together. Found a woman that wouldn't put up with his crap. And they had twins. Ran into him one Christmas break visiting family and he had started up his own business and was really happy to tell me about it. I was super excited for him and was glad he is doing better. His mate served some time in the pen but finally got out and I think has a low-key job to support his kid. She was my middle school bully but I still instantly recognized her in the grocery store parking lot. Lots of tattoos. 2 kids with a third on the way. Boyfriend looking like he was in and out of jail a lot. 90s hatchback. Flip-flops. Smoking a Pall Mall. Loading about 3 cases of soda in the car. I could go on. There's a heartbreaking scene in Skeleton Twins where Milo, the main character, goes on a beautiful monologue about how when he got older he was supposed to thrive and the bullies were supposed to get what they deserved, but his life is miserable and his bullies all have beautiful families and decent jobs. That's where I'm at too. Went to a shitty bar once and it turns out some of them get drunk there literally every night and are drug addicts. Saw one guy I hadn't seen in a few years and he apologized. Doubt it was sincere but FCK all of them. I used to have a hot guy sit behind me in history class back in my junior year of high school. He used to put his feet up on his desk and press his boots on my back. I don't know what happened to him. Hope he became a better person though. I can't imagine someone not giving him a serious beating for being such an asshole. Either way, I still don't know how other girls found him to be so hot. All I saw was a disgusting person. I just never could even when I tried to reason why he was the way he was. I don't remember why she's on my Facebook. Or who added who. But she's got 2 kids and another on the way. Seemingly, happily married. It seems like she's a great mother. And her children look very happy. She bullied me pretty hard freshman junior years. Then senior year she got pregnant. Fell out with her other bully friends. And I never knew what really happened to her after high school until a few years ago. Honestly, I'm really happy for her. I'm glad to see that she's got a healthy, happy family and husband. I would never say hi to her if I ran into her. But I do get a little joy every time I see her adorable little daughters on FB. I just hope that she's changed enough that her daughters won't grow up to bully like she had in high school. Officer here. First of all, I was bullied because I was a father by 16. I have personally arrested at least 3 of them. They were suspects of a pretty brutal double murder. They broke into an old couple's house. Man was 97. Woman was 95. Man confronted them with his pistol. He got off 1 shot. Hit one in the shoulder. The 3 took the fun and beat the man's head in. Then they took turns with the woman, then shot her execution style. Needless to say that all the officers forgot to turn their bodycams on. I know one has a job carrying livestock feed off of trucks. I see him often at the agri-vet store in the town we have agricultural property in, and the other is living in a studio-sized house. Broke with a kid and a deadbeat live-in partner, not a wife. The second dude came from a well-off family, but he was leeching off his parents to fund his lifestyle and show off to the partner. He got into so much debt because of it his folks had to sell some of their property to pay it off, then they cut him and the partner off. I only know this much because his folks and mine were well acquainted with each other, and during a party I overheard our moms talk about it. I was a bully. Everyone's a piece of shit in middle school. I'm currently in school for data analytics after because the kid I used to bully, who is now one of my best friends, has been pushing me to go back to school for years. He's also going to be one of my groomsmen at my wedding. Usually I don't keep up with people from school, but I know 2 got sucked into pyramid scheme. Mid-level marketing. Over the years I've been randomly contacted out of the blue by these 2 bitches wanting me to buy their junk or join their team. Like, no boss babe, even if you weren't a couple of cunts in school I wouldn't be interested in going and dare to pretend to make $500 weekly. Would you kindly FCK off now? My bully from elementary school works at Petco as a dog groomer right down the street from my house. Imagine the big kid in class who would bully other kids to hide the fact that he loved cute Pomeranians. So my cousin used to be a massive dickhead to me and pretty much anyone else. He was aggressive, violent and abusive, but so was I. Albeit not as bad. Both our families are kind of f-ked up. My parents divorced, and as a young teenager I had some good teachers and I turned my life around now that my abusive dad was out of the picture. He on the other hand kind of went off the deep end. He would do insane amounts of drugs. Go out and get into fights. Drunk driving. He would always be dating a different girl each month and would brag about how they had sex in the school toilets and other weird shit. Very much macho boasting. Once we went to a carnival and he had a massive nosebleed and nearly passed out on one of the rides because he did cocaine beforehand. He eventually dropped out of school and kind of roamed a bit. At some point he came out as gay and his personality just flipped. It took years before his parents actually accepted him because they are kind of bigots. But he actually managed to clean up his act after. Although he still chooses kind of sketchy partners at times. He went from this drug-fueled intimidating fighting machine to being this super cheerful flamboyant gay guy who is afraid of the dark. He now works as a chef and is really good at it. He always takes care of all the food for family get-togethers. He is still kind of a mansler though. Not that I mind. But it's awkward when you catch him sucking off some dude in a nightclub's toilet. But I love him dearly. The female bully. 6 kids each with a different father and selling leggings on Facebook while making political rants and thinking she's a credible source. The male bully. Actually a female now. She was just so unhappy and confused in school. My town was very conservative and no one ever dared come out as anything. After she moved out and went to college, her whole world changed. We actually keep in touch on Facebook as she seems so happy now and is even getting married. She apologized for everything and I accepted the apology. I hope she goes far in life.